Hello YouTube, it is Ashley Catalina here, and today I'm going to be talking about college advice tips. So these are some tips and some advice from me to you for anybody who's starting college. I should first say that I've only been at a community college and I am about to transfer to a 4-year school in about a semester. So I don't include anything in this video about like dorm room stuff or roommates or like living on campus because I haven't personally gone through that experience yet. So this is more towards like your academia, socializing, and just starting to get used to being a college student. So we shall begin. Okay, so one question that a lot of people ask, especially high schoolers who have like just graduated, will usually ask college students if college is better than high school. Yes, it is. College is better than high school, like 1,000%, okay? For one, in college, you're obviously likely an adult now, or at least you're around 18, or maybe 17, some people start when they're like 17. By being a college student, you now have more responsibility. You are officially a young adult. This means that if you drive, you may have to be driving yourself to and from campus. You'll have to be able to start figuring out ways to get food or how to take care of yourself. You have to really learn how to manage your time, and you have to set your alarms, that way you can get to class on time. You have to talk with your advisors for scheduling. I mean, a lot of this stuff is up to you. You have to take on this responsibility. You have to take on the responsibility of doing your assignments, making sure everything's done on time, making sure projects are done on time, making sure you communicate with your professors, because that's very important for passing your classes and getting good grades. So let's talk about your first semester. For your first semester, sometimes people don't really know what they're doing, what they're looking for. You just walk into a room, you talk to your advisor, and you basically just take the classes that your advisor says that you need, say like your gen eds or whatever. I would suggest that you only take 4 or 5 classes at a time. Some people will take 6. Some people with even 5 classes is too much. You have to start small, and you have to start learning how to manage your time, and you're trying to get the feel of college life. You're trying to get the feel of how these class dynamics work. This is a whole new experience. I would not jump right into it and try to take 6 or 7 classes. I even struggle with 5. I typically take 4 classes per semester, sometimes 5 if I've balanced my course load. But personally, I don't know how anybody can get A's and B's if they're taking too many classes, or classes that they just can't all handle at one time. It's too much to handle, and that's okay for something to be too much for you to handle. It's okay to take a lesser amount if that's what works for you, and that's what's going to give you the best results. Here's another little tip. Sometimes people go into college and they're like, oh wait, I'm an adult now, I should probably get a job. Wrong. Do not get a job until you know how your first semester is going to go. In fact, I would advise not even to get a job at all in your first semester. If you are going to get a job, I would suggest doing something that you know that will work with or around your school schedule, and a part-time job. Full-time jobs, especially depending on how heavy your course load is going to completely overwhelm you, and that's just a recipe for disaster. Another thing is, be prepared to meet lots of new people. Be prepared to meet lots of diverse people as well, people who may be different from you in whatever way. Your classes are going to be filled with people from probably all over the world, people who have many different interests, people who are like at many different life stages than you. You might have somebody who's 60-something years old in your class. You might also have a high school student in your class. So that's one thing to remember. And you're going to meet people from all walks of life, people you can learn from. Do not shy away from attempting to make friends, because you never know who you might get along with well, and who might even end up being a best friend. Another tip that I must stress is to take advantage of the counseling services colleges provide. Most colleges have free counseling services. You can go in for academic concerns as well as personal concerns. If you're feeling really anxious about a test, or if you're just really stressed out about something that may be going on at home, it's a good idea to go in and see one of these counselors. I mean, that's what they're there for. They're there to help you. You can't be a successful and respected student if you're not your best self. If you're not in the right mental state, if you're feeling too stressed and overwhelmed, that's not going to help your classes. That's not going to help your academia. Good mental health and managing that, especially with your self-care, is extremely important when it comes to college, especially considering this is such a new experience for so many people, and you're still getting used to the whole thing. It might be a tad bit overwhelming at first, and it's a good idea sometimes just to talk it out, or even see what these counselors can provide. I do very much recommend it. Another thing that I have to stress to you all: always attend class. Your lectures are extremely important. You showing up to class shows your professor and your classmates that you're dedicated to this work and that you're serious about it. Unless there's an emergency going on or you're just too sick to get out of bed, I honestly would not miss class. Even if you have to show up late, some professors are typically forgiving about that within good reason. So try to attend class as much as possible. Sometimes material that'll be on tests or that you will need to know for projects, guess what? All that information may not be in your textbook or online or any other material that your professor may provide to you. A lot of the stuff that you need to know will be talked about during lecture. So that is extremely important. Plus, it's a little bit better to get the interaction with your classmates and your professor, because then you can find other students to communicate with if you don't understand something, or you can figure out times to meet with your professor if you need to meet one-on-one, if you're having issues with the class. You know, there's so many benefits to just attending class, paying attention as best as you can, and doing your part of getting an education. Another helpful tip is to use a calendar or a planner. You're going to want to use this to map out your class schedule. You might want to have to space some time in between your classes just to kind of relax, de-stress, or maybe just hang out with some friends for a little bit, because that will help you feel more at ease. Also, some space between classes does give you a little bit of an opportunity to work on assignments ahead of time, or maybe even last minute if you happen to go that route, which I do not recommend, but that is a thing that does happen sometimes. But yeah, calendars and planners help you manage your time, and they help you keep track of things, especially now that a lot of this stuff is your responsibility to remember. It's also a great idea to recopy your notes after class in another notebook. The notes that you take in class, sometimes you may be taking so fast that you're just jotting it down super fast, and once you try to read it later and study it, you might not remember it all. If you take those notes that you took in class and then you recopy all that into another notebook, one, that actually helps you remember it more because you're having to rethink everything that you covered. Recopying your notes in another notebook after class actually does tend to help you make it a lot more organized, because then you can kind of group things together the way that you want it. Like if you want certain chapters written in different ink colors, because some people color code vocabulary words or subject material with highlighters or just different colored pens. That's kind of something I do a lot and that I find helps me, and it does help some other people as well. It may seem like a waste of paper, but you can always recycle. The earlier you get assignments done, the better. If you procrastinate and you wait too long to get them done, more than likely you're going to be cramming for tests. More than likely you're going to be more stressed out, and you may not get the best grade since you've done it all so much in a hurry. If you work on it gradually beforehand and you are productive that way, that will help you in your grades a lot. Now these last two that I'm going to cover are two of the most important tips that I have for you. Firstly, you are in college now. It is the perfect time for you to explore yourself, to explore your style, to explore your interests, and figure out who you are and who you want to be. This is the perfect time for you to find your friend groups, to see what people you click with and maybe what people you don't click with as well. Now is the perfect time to learn how to be you and what works for you in life. Don't shy away from it. I feel like since I started college, even just community college, I've learned so much about myself. Maybe that's part of the independence thing, but whatever, my advice still stands to you. And lastly, remember that it's totally okay not to know what you want your major to be yet or what you want your career to be. It's perfectly okay to take time to figure that out. Sometimes people switch their majors. In fact, it's actually really common. People switch their majors all the time. You know how many times I switched my major? Like, I would go back and forth all the time. If you want to try to figure out what your major is or what you might be interested in doing as a career, I suggest taking a class in a subject that might be kind of piquing your interest. Like say, one of the first majors I ever considered was psychology, so I took a psychology class. And then I was like, okay, that's pretty interesting. So the next semester, I took another psychology class. And for a long time, my idea was to be a psychology major. But I also took a lot of English classes because I thought, well, maybe if I don't want to do psychology, I could always be an English major. And then it was recommended to me to take some sociology classes, and I also took a variety of other classes at that time period. I took my first intro to sociology class. And once I took that class, it just clicked. And I knew that sociology was the major that I wanted to go into. It kind of ties in with psychology a little bit, and I still am a huge psychology nerd, and I'm still a huge English nerd because I love language and linguistics in general, but I can kind of intertwine all my likes into the major that I've chosen. So I do recommend, if you're curious about something and you're like, well, what if I could be a vet? Well, how about you see if your college offers any zoology classes? Or biology. Biology is typically a general education requirement that all college students have to take anyways. You never know. One class might lead to another, which might lead to a major choice and possibly a career down the road. It's okay not to know right away. You don't have to declare anything right away. And once you do declare something, it's totally possible to change it too. You have time. You can figure this out. You got this. You have to believe in yourself. You have to take care of yourself and know that you can succeed. So thank you, YouTube, for watching. I hope this helped anybody who's going into college now, or who's about to go into college or considering it. If you have more questions about college that you want to know, comment below, and then I might do a part 2 to this college advice video. Please hit that like and that subscribe button for more amazing content, and I will see you all next time. Bye, guys.